The legendary beauties of the past. From Nefertiti to Marlilyn Monroe, they had never heard of plastic surgery, yet their charm was timeless. Even today, they would eclipse any model walking down the runway. But critics of our time tell a different story. They say we live in an age of fakes and substitutes, a world of Instagram, filters, and endless templates. And women, in their chase for perfection, have lost individuality. Everywhere we look, the same lips, the same figures, the same makeup. In this journey, we will uncover the standards of beauty through the ages. We'll reveal the sacrifices women made, the diets, the cosmetics, the potions, the secret balms. But often, the price of beauty was health. And sometimes, life itself. Paleolithic. Our journey begins in the Paleolithic. Here we meet one of the earliest depictions of the female form, the Venus of Willendorf.
I have no face, yet they carved me to last forever. A symbol of life itself.
Carved nearly 30,000 years ago, she is a mystery. Was she a portrait of a real woman, or a symbol of fertility and Mother Earth? What we do know is clear her exaggerated breasts, belly, and hips, carved with intention, while her face remains blank, as if beauty itself was not in features, but in the body's power to give life. Ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, beauty was measured by smooth, flawless skin. The perfect woman was tall and slender, with long legs, a high, small bust, a swan-like neck, and narrow hips. Nudity was natural, accepted for both men and women. Egyptian women wore wigs woven from human hair and palm fibers. Tight curls and braids framed their faces, while cosmetics painted their eyes and lips. And then there was Nefertiti, the queen whose timeless bust still captivates us today.
My neck, my eyes, my smile. 3,000 years, and still they whisper my name.
Her long neck, her high cheekbones, her wide eyes, and mysterious half-smile. A vision of elegance that has survived 3,000 years. Ancient Greece. For the Greeks, beauty meant harmony, symmetry, and perfect proportions. The gods themselves were imagined as flawless athletes, their bodies sculpted like marble. One woman defined this ideal, Phryne, the famed courtesan of Athens. Praxiteles chose her as the model for his Aphrodite of Cnidos, the first nude goddess in sculpture. It was scandalous, yet unforgettable. When Phryne was once accused of impiety, her lawyer tore off her robe before the judges.
They stripped me bare, yet it was my beauty that set me free.
Her beauty was so divine, the court believed such perfection could not hide a sinful soul, and so she was set free. The Greeks even created a formula, Polykleitos's canon, where the head, the hand, the foot, each had its perfect ratio. Ancient Rome. Rome borrowed from Greece, but gave beauty its own flavor. Roman women were expected to be delicate, yet graceful, with slender bodies, wide hips, and soft curves. Fair skin was prized, and golden hair was the dream. Women bleached their faces and lightened their hair to a honey tone with endless tricks. To them, elegance meant refinement.
They bleached my skin, they burned my hair, all to be called beautiful in Rome.
The Roman canon of beauty, built on Greek ideals, would echo for centuries across Europe. Medieval Europe. The Middle Ages turned away from the body. The church taught that flesh was sinful, and beauty was dangerous. Women were hidden under heavy gowns, their figures erased by layers of fabric. But even then, ideals existed. A pale face, a long forehead, large solemn eyes. Some women shaved their brows, even their hairline, to make their foreheads higher. Others shaved the back of their heads to lengthen the neck. A flat chest was considered noble, while large breasts marked low birth. And so, young girls bound their bodies with iron plates, stopping their bust from growing.
I shaved my brow, I bound my chest. Beauty was a prison even then.
Among medieval beauties, one name shines: Agnes Sorel, the beloved of King Charles VII of France. Renaissance. The Renaissance brought beauty back into the spotlight. After centuries of suppression, the human body was celebrated once more. A woman was considered beautiful if she embodied the promise of motherhood. Wide hips, strong waists, rounded curves, broad shoulders, and glowing skin. This was the ideal of the age. And above all, the bust, honored as the true symbol of femininity. Golden hair became the ultimate accessory, shining in the paintings of Botticelli. Dark-haired women bleached their locks with lemon juice or sour milk, sitting under the fierce sun until their hair turned pale gold. And then there was Simonetta Vespucci, the muse of Giuliano de' Medici and the model for Botticelli's Birth of Venus. She was the face of an era, her beauty immortalized in paint.
Botticelli painted me as Venus, but I was only flesh and love.
Baroque. Then came the Baroque, and the ideals of the Renaissance quickly faded. Naturalness was out, spectacle was in. The woman of Baroque was grand, theatrical, and ornate. Tall, with a swan-like neck, sloping shoulders, a narrow waist, and wide hips. Her hair curled in waves, powdered and styled with precision. Her makeup was heavy, her presence commanding. The Baroque beauty was not a simple woman. She was a lady of drama, a walking performance. Just look at the Duchess of Fontanges, the famed mistress of Louis XIV. Her towering hairstyles and lavish gowns became the talk of Europe.
Powder, paint, towering hair. Beauty was a mask we wore with pride.
Rococo. The Rococo age demanded eternal youth. A beautiful woman had to look delicate, fragile, almost doll-like. The closer her face resembled that of a child, the better.
They wanted me porcelain delicate, perfect, forever young.
She wore powdered wigs, painted her lips and cheeks. Her figure was graceful, narrow shoulders, a tiny waist, rounded hips. She floated through salons like porcelain come to life, playful, capricious, spoiled, yet irresistible. The mistresses of kings set the fashion. Madame de Pompadour, Madame du Barry, and Queen Marie Antoinette. They defined what it meant to be beautiful in the age of Rococo. Empire. Empire. The Empire style returned to antiquity. It was called the naked fashion. Critics sneered at it as the fashion of savages.
My gown clung to me like marble drapery, but in the cold, it could kill.
The ideal woman was delicate, with a high waist, pale skin, and large expressive eyes. She wore thin, transparent gowns of muslin, like Greek tunics. Some even dampened the fabric with water before a ball, so the dress clung to their bodies like the marble drapery of goddesses. But beauty came at a cost in the cold. Many fell ill, and some never recovered. Pale skin was the goal. Women fought freckles and tans with caustic soda, lily juice, even hot oils. And at the heart of this world stood salon queens like Madame Julie de Lespinasse, whose charm set the standard of taste in Paris. Victorian Era, 19th century. The ideal woman of the Victorian era was, on the one hand, a modest, rosy-cheeked mother of the family, a domestic angel, and on the other hand, a fatal bohemian woman with a Gothic appearance, pale, languid, and emaciated. An example of the latter was Marie Duplessis, a Parisian courtesan who died of tuberculosis at 23, the lover of Alexandre Dumas Fils, and the prototype for the heroine of his novel, The Lady of the Camellias. To achieve this look, women drank vinegar, sucked on lead pencils, and even dropped belladonna into their eyes to widen the pupils. Corsets squeezed their bodies. Crinolines caged them in skirts weighing up to 17 kilos. They were like birds trapped in fabric cages.
The corset crushed my ribs, yet they called me an angel of the home.
And yet, by the end of the century, a new image arose. The Gibson girl. Confident, elegant, hourglass-shaped, with hair piled high. She was not fragile, she was bold, modern, sometimes even dominating men. One of Gibson's models, Lady Nancy Astor, would go on to become the first woman in the British Parliament. Flappers, the 1,920 seconds, a decade of rebellion. Women woke as if from a long sleep and decided, life is short, it must be lived freely. Corsets, heavy gowns, strict morals, all were cast aside. The new woman was bold. She laughed loudly, drove cars, smoked in public. She wore short dresses, cut her hair into sleek bobs, painted her lips a daring red. They called her the flapper.
I cut my hair, I smoked, I danced, and for the first time, I was free.
Coco, Chanel, and French fashion gave her styles straight silhouettes, flattened chests, boyish figures. For the first time in centuries, women abandoned the corset. Sun-tanned skin became fashionable, alongside tennis, swimming, golf, and silent film star Louise Brooks, with her iconic bob, became a symbol of this fearless age. Hollywood's golden age, 1,930 seconds. The Great Depression reshaped ideals once again. Gone were the boyish flappers in their place, soft curves and classic proportions. Hollywood became the temple of beauty. The silver screen lit up with stars: Jean Harlow, Joan Crawford, Ava Gardner, Elizabeth Taylor, and, of course, Marlilyn Monroe, the ultimate icon. Their beauty wasn't accidental. It was crafted by makeup artists, costume designers, cinematographers, and yet, their unreality made them even more enchanting.
Red lips, bright lights. I was a dream they invented for the screen.
The golden age of Hollywood gave us the hourglass. Full bust, narrow waist, rounded hips, and lips painted crimson. This was the dream every woman chased, and every man adored. 1,960 seconds, 1,970 seconds. The 60s changed everything. The beauty ideal shrank: narrow hips, small bust, and a slim, boyish frame. And at the center of it all, Twiggy. She was tiny, almost childlike, with wide eyes and spidery lashes. Her look inspired millions and pushed many into dangerous starvation diets. For the first time, the word anorexia entered the fashion world.
They wanted me thinner, smaller, almost like a child.
Miniskirts, bikinis, hippie beads, the symbols of a new youth culture. Beauty was no longer about maturity, it was about rebellion, freedom, and youth eternal. 1,980 seconds. 1,990 seconds. The 80s brought the rise of the supermodel. Cindy Crawford, Claudia Schiffer, Christy Turlington, Helena Christensen. Athletic, tall, radiant. Fitness videos, aerobics, morning runs beauty now meant health and strength.
Strong, tall, untouchable, we were the queens of the runway.
But the 90s added a darker twist. A new trend appeared: waif-like, fragile, almost sickly. Kate Moss became its face, with hollow cheeks, tired eyes, and a body on the edge of collapse. She turned the backstage of fashion into its main stage. Two extremes stood side by side, the glowing supermodel and the broken waif, and both defined beauty in the final decades of the century. Present day. And what about now? The 21st century tells a different story. Today's beauty ideal is not one face, not one body, not one style. It is inclusivity. It is individuality. It is freedom of choice. Natural hair, minimal makeup, comfort in clothing. Slimness may be admired, but so is uniqueness, the spark that makes someone stand out. Modeling scouts no longer search for perfection. They search for difference.
I don't need to be perfect, I just need to be me.
So tell us, who is the greatest beauty of our time? Or of all time? The answer, perhaps, is in the eye of each beholder. And who would you name as the greatest beauty of today? Or even of all eras and peoples? Let us know in the comments.